So I'm finally back in the car. I just spent a ton of money on getting this thing repaired so that I can continue to make more money. But that means that I can now do more of my car reflections. One thing that came to mind today was that when I was younger, I was obsessed with the kind of perfection, but it wasn't perfection exactly. It was like, maybe it was perfect adherence to certain ideals that I was taught. I felt like I could achieve actual perfection. I felt like I could be a person who made no mistakes. And, I was the type of person who, as a child, made his bed every day. That's not too abnormal. But I would also sometimes, spend hours flattening the sheets so that there wasn't a single wrinkle, and then I'd bring parents in to get praise for it. I would be very happy when the bed was flawless. And so I had like this kind of fixation, but that fixation was also reflected in my, like, what I saw as performance, like a performance, what I did for others, performance of my duties, ethical obligations, my internal belief system. I wanted to reflect perfectly a set of ideals that would why did I want to reflect that? I suppose I wanted to be blameless. Maybe there was an arrogance to it. Like, obviously, there's something where I think that I want to be perfect, but perhaps something of me wanted to be above others, like dominant in a certain sense. That's kind of, I think, why my behavior is the way that it is now. It's like, so much of the reason that I push myself now, although it's not the whole reason, is that I want to be above reproach, and I want to be immune from like social constraints. And it's not because it's not immunity. I guess it's like a feeling of there being a repression to it, a feeling that to be free from having to listen to other people is freeing. It's like I guess I see social bonds for all their virtues. I see them as being things that control and constrain, and I don't see them as being liberating, even though maybe that's the perspective that I should have as a member of society. Part of the reason why I'm so obsessed with money is because I think that if I can get money, obviously it's not the whole picture, you have to have social skills, but one aspect of it is money. If I have money, then I'll never have to listen to a boss, and then if I have money, then I'll never have to go anywhere that I don't want to go, and I won't have to listen to people tell me things, tell me how I have to do things. I can do things sort of in my own way. Whereas I feel like the normal way to do things is to accept that I live in a society and that there is a social contract that binds us all together, and I have to accept obviously that I'm wrong sometimes and other people are right, and that sometimes I have to negotiate because I don't have all of the power to myself. I guess that's the sort of thing that maybe the right way to do it, because then you learn things like, I don't know, maybe that's how you love people. Like, I don't know if I can love people, and I think the reason is that, like, I feel such a contempt for the idea that another person should be able to make any final determination in the path that I take. I'm always happy to have guidance and to have suggestion and to be able to draw conclusions from what other people say, but I want to be the one making the final determination. In every situation in my adult life, I think I've always insisted that I should be the one to decide. In relationships, when things go poorly, I oftentimes decide, I no longer want this, I no longer want to fight for this, and so even when things could be fought for, I won't. And then, on the other hand, when I was kicked out of my research program, I said that no one will decide. I think my advisor said something to the effect of, that one doesn't usually succeed after your advisor does something, after your advisor kicks you out of your program. And I said, well, I'll decide that. It's not for you to decide. You know nothing of what lies ahead of me. And why should I listen to you? What know you? You know nothing. So oftentimes, I suppose, I think why should I assume that others know better than me when, why should I assume that anyone knows better than me about myself? And so I do all sorts of stupid things just to demonstrate that I have power in these situations, that other people can't really take control of the reins at the end of the day, that the reins are mine. I go out of my way. I do things that are even detrimental to my health. I mean, just to demonstrate that people will not have the final say, just because I don't want people to have that kind of power. I don't want them to feel like they have that kind of power. I prefer to strip them of it. Strip them even of the illusion when the time is right. And this, of course, is like really wrong, because sometimes I misinterpret people, because I want to hold on to that power. I assume that when other people have legitimate criticisms or express frustration with me, that they're actually trying to take away my power, even when they're just trying to help me. And I've become more aware of this, but sometimes when things come down to it, and like when bad people come into my life or bad things happen, I revert back to that way of thinking where I think it's essential. The bare bones of it, or the essential part of it, is that someone is trying to strip from me what is mine. And then I become extraordinarily hostile and contemptful. Like, even I don't think that I've really faced another human being, even people that have bad intentions. I don't think that I've faced people who have as much contempt in them as me. Like, I think that even people who have mistreated me, I feel like I'm harsher than them. In retribution, I don't think that other people have the same ability to hate that I do. Because I hate when people try to take my power from me. And, I think part of it is because that behavior has been rewarded. There's a very real part of myself that feels that if I weren't as cold as I were when things became difficult, then the people that wished to harm me would have gotten away with it scot-free. And it's difficult to reconcile sometimes that feeling of success in the face of adversity with my failure to acknowledge real criticism and to grow, because I feel legitimate pressure because I have failed in some respect people around me by being too callous and relying wholly on an obsession with power and an arrogance that makes me aloof from constructive discourse.